Hey guys, it's Brenda back with episode 6. My guest today is my real good friend Jenny. I met her about 4 years ago at the Family Cafe here in Orlando, Florida. Jenny, say hi.
Hi.
And Jenny, you want to tell them a little bit about your daughter?
So my daughter has a very rare diagnosis, Cardi syndrome. It's roughly about 500 women in the world. We only know of one boy that has it. The average lifespan is 2 years old. However, with new technologies, we do have, we're growing in that. So we actually have one lady who's 50. I think there's two or three that are in their 40s, four or five in their 30s, and then it trickles down from there. Um, anyway, it consists of being blind, double scoliosis, multiple different types of seizures. So she has the underline of LGS, which is living schizo. She's blind in one eye. We have a feeding tube. A lot of children with her diagnosis also have a trach. So I cover the cyst on the brain. There's so much. Nonverbal. There's normally a lot of aspirating. Uh, she is 17, so we have made it past several marks that are very critical in her stage of her diagnosis. The next
Yay.
one that we worry about is about age 20.
Oh.
So that's because their hormones are more advanced with all the medicine that they take. At one point, she was on 1,600 milligrams of Rufinol a day,
Oh
along
wow.
with other medications to help with her seizures. So every few years, the hormones change. They develop a little bit heavier. You have to go through a med change because now their body's acclimated to it, and it's a real crucial period. It's really hard to start over. Then you get a small break, and then it's time to do it again.
Oh. um what is one major battle that you're facing right now in caring for her?
I have two that are right at the top of my list. One of them is our bathroom modification for her safety. I have been battling that for about 9 years now. And the other one is the caregiver aspect, whether it's me being able to take care of her or an adequate nurse to take care of her.
Oh, let's talk about the bathroom modification really quick because, well, not really quick, but let's talk about
I
it
was gonna say, girl,
because
that's like a 3 hour
yeah.
podcast.
Well, we'll try not to make it 3 hours, but we'll talk about it. So, talk a little bit about the agency that is supposed to be covering the bathroom modification.
Well, for starters, I I want to back that up just a little bit.
Mm.
Before we had got on the APD waiver services, we were just with CMS, and they had told me that I would be going on APD and that they would help me with the bathroom. All I needed to do was get quotes, go ahead and start getting quotes, and then they would handle the rest. So they were saying that just to keep me busy, so to speak. So for about 4.5, 5 years, we were not on APD, and I was constantly having people in and out of my house, so that I had to submit quotes. I had to submit 4 different quotes every 6 months to the agency so that they could keep it on record that I still needed this bathroom. And then I found out 4 years later that I wasn't even supposed to be doing that. These people weren't eligible there to help. Like all they were doing was spinning my wheels. So we got on APD, and that was, I do believe, 2021. And I was told, "Don't worry, we're going to get this bathroom." I'm like, oh, thank God, because we need this so bad. Um, and everybody has 90 days to do their paperwork. The problem is everybody waits till the 89th day to turn in their paperwork. And after you do that, all of a sudden, my script is now out of date because it's expired. It's been more than a year. So now I have to get another script from the doctor, and the doctor writes a new script. Then they turn around and tell me that there's special grants and programs. So because of the extreme modifications that we need for her, we're going to have to go this other route and do ask for additional funds, do this, do that. They knew the bathroom was not going to go through at $26,000, and yet they made me do all this extra work, and then finally came back and said, after a year and a half of that, said, well, Jen, you know, it's $26,000. You have to keep it under 20. And we just don't, they're not, we were hoping we could get the funds for it, but they said no. I'm like, but if you knew they weren't going to do this, why did you have me run and spin my wheels for nothing? Then I was told that until there was 3 quotes for the bathroom, I wasn't eligible. And because there was only 2 people that was now doing it, the third person had dropped out. We weren't able to submit paperwork until there was a 3rd quote. And then it was, there's only 1 person doing it. So until there's 2 more people, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Oh, yeah, by the way, your prescription's expired again. You need to go back and get another prescription. Now we have to go back through and find more quotes. This has been going on since 2019.
Oh my goodness.
Well, so about for the second half of it. And then at 2021 was when we were actually eligible for what they needed to do. So, well, actually, I'm so sorry, I messed up on my date. Well, the 2019 was whenever we moved into our new home, and we started it for this home that we're currently in now. And they told us, oh, don't worry about it, because as soon as you get in your house, we'll take care of the bathroom as you're like, you know, pretty much as you're moving in before you get settled in. So, which turned out to be a lie because we weren't eligible until 2021. Okay, fast forwarding. I make some phone calls to some people that are higher up towards Tallahassee. And I'm like, please tell me you can help me. And they said, well, let's find out what's going on. So they call me back. They find out what's going on. They say, all right, we're going to get you in the process. Nothing happens. We go to Family Cafe, and I meet one of the gentlemen face to face. And I said, please, I'm begging you, I need your help. He said, don't worry, we're going to get on it. And we sat down and we talked, and he put me in contact with people. And 6 months after being in contact with people, I was told I had to start from scratch again. Then this past December, I get the phone call of a lifetime. It was like winning the sweepstakes. They said, Jen, guess what? The bathroom has been approved. They are going to come and do your bathroom. Oh, thank you, Father God. January, the agency, APD, wrote a check to the company for $20,000, $19,700, blah, 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 blah. Wrote them the check. They held on to the check. My prescription was up February the 9th. They held on to the check, and on February the 9th, they mailed the check back, called the agency and said, we're not doing it because this quote is a year old and we will no longer honor that quote. And now we're going to quote you at $80,000 instead of $20,000 to do your bathroom.
Oh my goodness.
So the check went back. I now get a letter and a phone call saying, we have rejected you. We're not doing the bathroom because we can't raise the funds. then my APD coordinator said, well, we can't find anybody. Nobody's doing the bathroom, so now we're going to have to wait. So I go to Family Cafe, and this is Family Cafe of 2025, and I meet with APD, and APD says, well, you just have to go through the process. I've been going through the process. I spent 4 years going through the process that was unnecessary because I wasn't eligible. And now I'm 5 years in that I am eligible and nobody is helping. So I don't understand what was the point of me being on APD if you're not going to give me the benefit that my child needs.
Right.
So they introduced me to this young lady who runs the pilot program. It's a brand new program that's out. They did a bathroom modification for somebody. They put it through and it was done in less than 3 months. Brand new program. And the young man just went on it and got it done in 3 months. And I'm 9 years later and I don't have my bathroom. Well, she doesn't have her bathroom.
So because what is stopping you from going on the pilot program?
Because the pilot program, it's a new program and there is a waiting list now, I do believe, to get on that pilot program. And there was a couple other stipulations. I would have to change my insurance, her insurance over. It was a lot of different things that they were telling me. She would lose some of her benefits as far as, forgive me on this, but it was something about some of her benefits that she qualifies for, or would qualify in the long run, she would no longer get. And then once she aged out of the pilot program, she would not be able to go back into APD. She would have to go on the waiting list, which is now called the pre-enrollment because it doesn't sound as bad.
Right.
So she'd have to go on the pre-enrollment, and I could be there another 10 years before she gets back on.
Yeah, that's just crazy because obviously the pilot program is doing something right that APD is not doing, because it shouldn't take an entire year. It doesn't take an entire year if the pilot program is able to get it done quick. So,
well, I was told that the pilot program does not have any boundaries yet because it's a new program, and that they're able to push whatever through because they have extra money and extra funding. I was told that APD has got very strict guidelines of how they do stuff because it's an organized medical tier that they have to go through.
Right.
So APD is way stricter on how they spend their money and what they're actually allowed to spend their money on versus pilot. And my APD coordinator said, well, you could go to pilot, but you won't be able to come back over to APD. And pilot's going to run out of funding because they're spending loosely. And eventually they're going to have to merge over anyway. So it doesn't even make any sense for you to go there.
That's just crazy. For me, my thought is APD should have tons of money because they're not spending it where they're supposed to, and in that need of that child that needs a bathroom modification, that it's taken 9 years, but they're continuously getting in funding. But if it's never getting spent, where is it going? I mean, that's my thought.
They have not raised the limit, and as you know, we've had inflation. Everything went up even after COVID. Don't quote me, but I think it's been since like 2002 or somewhere in that area since they had a limit raise on the funding for a bathroom modification. It's been like 10, 12 years, if not longer. Like it's huge.
That's crazy in itself because the cost to build anything right now has more than quadrupled.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this introduced me. So Pilot introduced me to the Phoenix, which Phoenix works with Medicaid, and they do bathrooms. And so I had, guess what? I had people come out again, and they looked at my bathroom, and they told me how they could fix this. They told me how they could take care of Sandrea. They'd have it done in under $20,000, and we were going to do it. A month goes by, I don't hear from them. I call, and I'm told that they're not allowed to talk to me. And I said, well, what happened? What do you mean? You showed up at my house. Now you can't talk to me? They said, we were not allowed to return your phone calls because you're with APD. And I said, well, no, I'm not with APD. They said, no, you take your APD's insurance. So even though it's a entity of Medicaid, it's a runoff of it.
Right.
They do, just because she's on APD, this one here that takes Medicaid and does disability bathrooms will not touch it. Now, if I want to go off of APD and just go on straight Medicaid, and then I can start all over again and ask Medicaid to write a voucher for her and I have to prove all the steps, then they would pay for the bathroom. Medicaid would have to pay for the bathroom, which doesn't make any sense to me, again, because the whole point of APD is to do modification, is to have like extreme modifications, whether it's the Hoyer lifts that are in the ceiling or the bathrooms, stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm back to square one again. I was told that there's one place, just so we're clear, this is October. There's only one place that's doing bathroom modifications for APD now. And I am on a waiting list to be seen. They haven't even came to my house yet. And it's time for another script. So I will be needing another script soon. And then they're going to have 90 days to do the sand, and then 90 days for the sand to go through, and then 90 days to figure out what they're going to do. And then after those 90 days, my prescription will be up again, and I'll have to start over.
Yeah, it just seems like they have a very, I get, and I respect that they're tight with their funding, and they don't spend it loosely, but they're not spending it at all if you've gone through this process for all these years, just sitting in one spot waiting for a miracle. What it sounds like, just a miracle to get something so basic that is such a huge safety thing that you need for your daughter.
Chandrea is 5 inches taller than me. She is semi non-mobile. If she feels like she's not steady, she won't walk, she won't move. At one time, she weighed the same amount as me, but they changed her medication, so she has lost some weight, but still, she's 150 pounds, and I have to try to transport her. The toilet is right next to the bathtub, and I have gashes on my wall where she's had severe seizures and has broken the corners of the wall. We've had to replace the nozzles in the bathtub and the water spigots and all that for the bathtub. Mm-hmm. We've replaced them 4 times since we've been here, and we bought this house December 19th of 2020 because Chandrea's had seizures and she has flailed and broke them off of the wall.
Oh my goodness.
We just had to replace our toilet because she has broken the toilet again and again. And even though we replaced the toilet last month, she's already had seizures to the point that she has broken it from the floor on this new one that's, a month old.
Oh my gosh.
At one time during this whole process, she had 2 broken legs where she had a seizure, went down with her AFOs on. She broke both legs, had to have surgery, had to have a screw put into her ankle bone.
Oh.
And there was no way, even though we had a waterproof cast, there was no way to bathe her because we couldn't get her in and out of the bathtub. So she had to be sponge bathed for 6 weeks. and that led to pilonidal cyst. So she ended up being hospitalized because of the urine that would just collect, and because she had to stay on her back because she had two broken legs, she had pilonidal cyst develop in her tailbone. So
Oh,
we end up being hospitalized.
and see, I'm glad that you said that, because it gives the listeners an idea of why this bathroom modification is so crucial for her. She's not the everyday average child with a disability. She's got a lot more complexities, and it just gives the idea and the image for the listeners that, this is something that, obviously, I mean, if you're fighting for it for this many years, it isn't something that it's just not as necessary as people might think. Obviously, when you're trying to get things like this nature done in your house, there's a lot more to it than just the average disability. And I feel so. I told you when we talked a little bit before we started recording. You told me the bathroom story back in, well, Family Cafe was in June, and
Yeah.
I have not stopped thinking about it. It's been on my mind, and it's weighed on my heart. And I'm some of it because I've met Chandrea. I love Chandrea. I love you. You started out
We
as a
love you
customer of
too.
ours, and become a good friend. And to know you as a person, and you as a mother, and you as an advocate, and know that you're not just letting things go, and that's why this isn't happening. Like, you're very proactive, you're trying your best, and the system is just stacked against you. And unfortunately, you're not the first person that I've talked to that's needed something from APD, and APD just hasn't come through. I've actually don't think to this day that I've ever heard any person say APD did this great thing for me. And it's mind blowing, because, as it's going to be talked about a lot in this podcast, they're taking people that already have so much on their plate. Um, Obviously, with Chandrea's complexities, you've got more than most.
Well,
And
the funny thing is they her Medicaid, when we started this process, her Medicaid sent me a chair. So they gave me a bath chair that doesn't fit in my bathtub,
oh my
and it's the
goodness.
size of a lawn chair, like for the 1980s, that you would like trifold and unfold out on the beach.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
huge, but there's nowhere to put it. There's no way to get it in the bathroom. And then when we went through that part, where I was like, why are we even getting this? Like, I don't even have anywhere to put it. And they're like, yeah, but APD is going to do your bathroom, so we're going ahead and we're placing you with this chair because she has to be able to be laid down to take a shower or take a bath. And I was like, okay, that'll be great. We'll have it when we get our bathroom done. And then they turned around, and because we were talking about wheelchairs and rolling in the shower, they ordered me a wheelchair. They had, because I had talked to her doctor about it. The doctor ordered a wheelchair. So now I have a bath wheelchair and a bath like tray bed sitting in my storage that I can't even use because I can't get them. The bathroom is so small, which when we bought the house and we were in debate about it, APD said don't worry about it, or her Medicaid, excuse me, said don't worry about it because we're going to knock this bathroom out within 6 months of you being in the house. So don't worry about it. I've been in this house since February 2019.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the trend that I've seen with a lot of people that are dealing with APD. And it's unfortunate, because when you're going that route, um, you really need the help. And the
Yeah.
people that are on that, in that route, are they're the ones that they already have so many battles to face. And here, this agency that's like, here, we're going to take care of this for you. And what it becomes is just another battle to face, when it should be, because they are specific to disabilities. You have all these different things throughout
Right.
their lives, but these people should understand the most, because that's all you're dealing with, is people with disabilities.
That's
And
correct.
like I said, again, I respect that they don't want to loosely spend funds, but the policies are clearly broken. The funding amounts are clearly need to be reassessed. um I think all of the limits that are put in place for these agencies, for APD, Social Security, all of these things should be reassessed every year, every 2 years at
They
most.
should.
Everything is so outdated, and then you can't get what you need because it hasn't caught up with the times. And I'm so sad that, and I'm just trying to picture, and I think it's, probably at least once a week, where I'm giving Ruby a shower, and it makes me think of you, because it's like, it puts things into perspective for me as well. I struggle with my own depressions and stuff, and but it also, knowing that there's someone out there like you that's fighting for just a bathroom modification, just so you can keep your daughter clean. And like I said, I'm hoping that us telling all our stories, and maybe the right person will listen and make some change. But something has got to give, because that it's just not fair. It's not right to the families that are in these situations, that need the help the most, and they're not getting it, in any manner at all, let alone a timely manner. To be fighting the same battle for over, you said what, 9 years?
Over 9 years.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. And then let's talk
So,
about, oh, go ahead.
well, real quick. So, two things about the bathroom. Number one time during this process here, she wasn't doing really well, and like I said, I have a weird garden bathtub. So even like the water shower chairs that you can buy like at Walmart or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
they fit horribly. They don't fit at all. Um, like it's the worst. And even the one she has now that's a little bit smaller, it still teeter totters. So it's real dangerous. So she had not been feeling well. She had had there she had had a blockage in her stomach, and so she was projectile vomiting as well as diarrhea. It was really super bad because of the way the blockage was in her upper right intestine. So I had to get into the shower with her and to be able to hold her up to take a shower with her. And there is, just so we're clear, there's only room for two people in that bathroom. And even then, there's not room for two people because she can sit on the toilet and she'll shut the bathroom door because there's no room in the bathroom. And anyway, so she had a seizure. She went down. Of course, I'm holding her, so I slip and fall in the tub. I'm holding onto her. We're wrapped on the shower curtain is now wrapped around us. The shower head is wrapped around us. We've hit the wall. We've knocked off the nozzles. I'm screaming for my husband to come in here and get us. So he comes running in. He screams for my other daughter. So now there's four of us in this bathroom that's literally like an 8 by 8 with that has the whole, the vanity, the toilet, and the bathtub. That's all inclusive in the 8 by 8.
Oh my goodness.
And we had to do an emergency shut off on the water and try to figure out the Jenga of how to unwrap us and to where we were both safe, because it was a rough battle. Now, I have told that story to my case manager. I've also for APD and Medicaid, and more than once I've been told, well, there's always group homes in Miami that would take her.
That
Wrong answer.
that's
And
wild to me.
and then one time, my APD coordinator actually looked me dead in my face and said, well, don't worry, because when she's 26 years old, then you get the long-term care benefits. And let me tell you about them. I'm like, she's six. At the time, she was 16 when this conversation took place. So instead of taking care of what needed to be handled, they deflected and was like, hey, guess what? In 10 years, this is what she's eligible for. She's eligible for things right now, and you're not taking care of them. So why are you telling me about she's eligible for $250,000 when she turns 26?
Yeah, that it's like, just hurry up and wait. Like, hurry up and wait for this, and hurry up and wait for that. And, like, great news, you've already been waiting 9 years, but just
Oh,
wait.
and at one time, they even wrote the check. I had the bathroom. The check was written.
Right.
Held on to for 30, was held on to. They wrote the check in January, and in February, they sent the check back.
Wow. Yeah, I
It was,
mean, to suggest a group home over the family's actual home, where, because, I mean, there's some amazing group homes out there. I've seen a couple. I've heard, good stories, and it's no knock to that, but there's no place like home for these kids. And when the parents want to take care of them, um, I've heard some horror stories too. Um, and I'm not gonna not say that either. A lot of times they pay CNAs, or it, and they're not taking care of them the way that they should be. A lot of times, they're in a home, there's 6, 7, 8 other people that they have to tend to. Why would that be a better solution other than the money? And I mean, granted, yeah, it's probably expensive, but they're going to get the best care, and they deserve the best care in their homes, when there's families
absolutely.
that absolutely want to continue to take care of them. And that's just sad. That's absolutely sad that that would be even something, and insensitive. Obviously, we all know, when we're on this journey, that there's group homes available to our kids, with massive wait lists. um you know Finding one that is able to attend to your child's needs, and then you have to get a good feeling about that. And none of us, that want to take care of our kids, want to get to that point where we have to give them up. So that was extremely insensitive for that person to tell you that, especially with you just needing the modification for the bathroom to be able to continue to care for your daughter. And I'm so sorry that that happened to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But we'll just keep on aggravating people until they do what they're supposed to do.
And then let's talk about the other situation, the nursing situation um that you're going through, and some of what that entails.
So since let's see here, 2000 and uh, so 2016 maybe, um, is when I finally got my first set of nursing care, and It's really difficult because you either get the brand new nurses, excuse me, you get brand new nurses that just came out of school and they need to have some experience to go work at a hospital. So they just stop in real quick. They're 20 years old. Most of them don't have any kids. So they're clueless. And I had to tell one of the nurses, please stop. You're burning her. Did you? I can see the smoke coming off of her raviolis, and it's hot. She goes, oh, do you think so? I'm like, it's melting the cheese. She didn't even test it. She burned her mouth.
Hmm.
Uh, I had a nurse back at the very beginning. She got busted being high on the job,
Oh my goodness.
and at one point had taken Chandrea's meds, and we had to call the police. And here's the kicker to this. They said it was not illegal for her to be intoxicated in the home. And I said, but she's not in the home. She's working and she's taking care of my daughter who needs one-on-one 24-hour care. And I came home to my daughter walking around the house with her diaper around her knees. And the nurse was high as a kite on the couch.
Oh my goodness.
The police gave her a sobriety test, which she couldn't even pass. They told her to walk the line, and she couldn't take. It took her almost 2 minutes to take 2 steps. That's how bad she was. And they told me that she was not allowed to drive away from my home because she was inebriated. And I said, okay, so then what do we do? And the police literally looked at me and told me, well, you can take her home. No, I will not take her home.
Oh my
She needs to go
goodness.
to jail. And they said, well, there's nothing really you can press charges on because she's not intoxicated in public. She's intoxicated in your home. And because she's a nurse, well, that's really the employer's call. I then send a letter to the nursing board who does not take her license away. Sent me a letter even after they've seen the videos that I took, and they said she'll do better. They're not going to pull her license, but she has a history of drug abuse. So
Oh my
there was,
goodness.
oh yeah. um, so there was a bill passed that said that parents could take care of their children and be paid for it. We would have to do a certain amount of classes, certain amount of hours of this and that. And then we would have to have an RN set with us for 16 hours to make sure that we're capable of taking care of our child.
Oh wow.
Also that RN would be paid as a nurse, as an RN would, and me as the parent, I'm going to get $15 an hour. I will make minimum wage to stay at home and take care of my child. So I will be below the poverty level to stay at home and take care of my child.
Wow.
But somebody else can come in and evaluate me and tell me that, make double money to tell me that I just real quick for me, just so that the audience who listens can understand, I had a severe injury 3 years ago to my spinal cord and to my head. So when I start getting upset and I start getting flustered, it triggers different things in my nervous system. And so I will tend to stutter and look for words. So when they hear me stuttering and trying to navigate through this, that's what's going on.
Oh yeah.
Um, but anyway, so I was told that this new bill that was passed, I'd be eligible, it'd be great. So I called up the nursing agencies And there was only one nursing agency that would do it. Um, but they didn't have any nurses to help fill in my gaps just yet because everybody had swarmed over there to go do it. Um, I was now the bill is going back in because apparently there's been families or whatever who have taken their own children's meds. And from them doing that, they have to restructure the bill. So now, because my daughter is on level 2 narcotics, she is no longer allowed to be a part of that. So it, if even if I change nursing agencies, it doesn't matter because as soon as this other bill goes through and it gets revised, I will no longer be allowed to be a paid caretaker for my child. Now, that being said, 2 months ago, 2 months ago, the nurse that I had here, she was taking my daughter's mobility away. Every time I would turn around, she'd pull out a wheelchair and be like, "Well, she can't walk. She can't walk." No, she can. She can walk short distances. The nurse argued with me left and right. Then she turned around and she was trying to order suction and trying to get the doctors to put her on suction, which she does not need. Come to find out, that particular nurse was taking her meds. Like, she would take one and give my daughter one. She'd take one and give my daughter one.
Oh my
To the
goodness.
point we came home, and once again, I had to put it on video. My husband thought she was dead. My husband was getting ready to call 911 when the nurse finally woke up choking. But my husband was like slamming books and was screaming at the top of his lungs. But she had taken Chandrea's meds and was passed out to the point he thought she was dead. That went on for almost 10 minutes before she started choking and woke up. The bowl of food had rolled off her lap, was all over the Chandrea's floor. It was horrible. So now, me as a mother, I need to have a job so that I can pay my bills. I can't go get on unemployment because unemployment requires you to go and find a job. However, they haven't found a nurse in 2 months to replace her. So I have 4 days a week that I don't have nursing. What am I supposed to do? You won't pay me to stay at home and take care of her. And if you were going to, it's only going to be minimum wage for a couple more months until this bill's passed. And then you're going to take it away from me and I have to go back to work anyway. So I'm at a loss because I don't even know what to do at this point.
Right. Right.
And oh, by the way, the 3 days that I have nursing, I have to be home because I have to take them to her 3 doctor's appointments because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are all therapy appointments, OT, PT, speech, and music.
Oh wow.
So, and then I have to be able to be back home by the certain time because we also have school at the house. So I can't work on those 3 days because I have to be able to transport her back and forth to all her appointments. And then the other 4 days, I don't have nursing. So if right now, let's just say I was working full time, what do? I have to call into work.
Right.
Because I can't get on nanny.com and be like, hey, can I get a babysitter?
Right.
I can't have a 12-year-old coming over here to babysit her.
Right.
Because even I myself have a hard time handling her. And I said something earlier about the young girls that come in, and they're not always knowledgeable about everything. I've had the other side of the spectrum is I either get the brand new nurse who's trying to build her resume to get into the hospital, or I get grandma who's retired. No offense to any of the elderly women that are nurses, but they can't be 5'2", 65 years old and try to handle her.
Right.
Because that's a disaster waiting to happen. She's going to get hurt and they're going to get hurt.
Right.
So then who do you get? Because the hospital is going to pay $60, $70 an hour, depending on what they're doing.
Right. So because the pay is not as high as the hospital, it's only attracting those that specific type of nurse, and therefore you're not getting the adequate care that she needs.
That's correct. And I mean, I don't expect them to pay, $65 for one child, because yes, they're getting paid $65, $75 because they have to tend to eight patients.
Right.
But there has to be some higher pay to intrigue the people to stay,
Right.
to intrigue them to want to come for those that can do it. And
Absolutely.
there's been times that I've had a nurse for 2 months and then she's leaving. I'm like, where are you going? She's like, oh, the hospital went ahead and took me. Oh, and I get the new nurse, same thing. And I bet I've probably went through 30 nurses.
Oh my goodness.
And with Chandrea's diagnosis, it's really important to have someone who is consistent in her life, because even though she's not communicating the way we communicate, it doesn't mean she's not communicating.
Right.
You have to be able to read her body language. When she sees certain people come in the morning and she hasn't seen them in a while, she's extremely excited because she knows that's my friend.
Right. Well, and I mean, not only that, but you're also having to start back at square one and showing them the ropes, and that's exhausting. Like if you have to retrain someone of what to do, and learning her, um and learning her quirks and all of that stuff, to have a consistent person that just knows what to do is so critical. It's I mean, that's and that would that has to make her sad when she builds that attachment, and
Right,
then they're gone and they're going to a better paying job, uh you know and then she's back with a brand new stranger, having to
right,
build that rapport with them again. I mean, that's super sad, and something's got to give in that system too, because um that's no fair to you. I mean, as a mom, it's already hard enough to leave your child with as a mom of a child with a disability, it's
right,
already hard enough to leave them with someone as it is, and then every time you turn around, there's stuff happening that's making it's got to be making your gut like just wrench
oh,
every
it's
time.
horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I drive over an hour to work, and I went to work one time, and and when I was there, I wasn't even there before the event started, and I had to come home because she'd had a seizure. She went through the wall. She went through the table. She lost a tooth. Okay, fine. Well, I'll meet you at All Children's Hospital. I
Right.
mean, that's all I could say. Call 911. Tell All Children's to come and get her.
Oh my
That was
goodness.
somebody that that was a time that happened, that I had to. There was an EMT that we knew, and we hired the EMT to come and work in the house. And she's familiar, but she's not familiar,
Right.
Like, she knows Andrea, she knows, but she doesn't know. But I didn't have a nurse because we were in limbo again, because we just had to let, I, I, oh my goodness, the horror stories I could tell you.
Oh, I bet. Yeah,
Um,
I bet.
anyway, that we had just let a nurse go, and we were in between, and I had to go to work. So, like I said, they were an EMT. I said, is it possible? Could you help? And they said, yes, we'll help. And, I did the quickest training I possibly could. They got a 30-minute rundown of what to do. And I got ready for work. I left and I came back. Well, I mean, I went to work and it wasn't even an hour later.
Aw.
And she had went through a wall. She'd had a seizure, went through a wall, lost a tooth, broke the table.
I mean, I do want to touch on real quick too. Obviously, if you're having this many problems with just being able to go to like work, it's got to take a toll on your marriage as well, because like, how do you date? How do you go on dates with your husband if you're having such a hard time just being able to go to work?
We
Um,
don't.
yeah, and see that in itself is, that's hard.
I
Um,
mean, once in a while, we're like, hey, we have to plan it. But, then you have to hurry up and run home. So it's not like you can go out on a date because you got to hurry up and run home for the nurse's shift to end.
right,
Well, my husband works, but then he's got to come home. He's got to get a shower. He's got to get dressed. So it's not like he's getting home at 2 o'clock and we had all night to do something.
right,
So, we do have to plan accordingly. And when you have a child with special needs, um, when they're first diagnosed, everybody's like, "Oh, if you need me, let me know. Oh, just we'll be there for you." And that lasts all of a
oh
month,
yeah, I know.
and then you're all by yourself. So there's one of her old nurses. I still remain friends with her, so I have to ask her ahead of time. Hey, look, is it possible for you at your job? Can you make sure you have this day off, because I don't know if I'm going to have a nurse or not, and we have a paid planned event that we can't miss,
Right.
just so I have a backup, because I have to have a backup, because there's not even a guarantee that I'll make the concert or make the movie or make the dinner for the business.
Right. Yeah, I'm thankful that you have that, because without
And
that
now, and
it would
and
be,
and she can't always do it. It's once in a while. So, obviously we can't be like, hey, it's Friday night date night. There is no surprises.
yeah.
It's life consuming is
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, and that's a good way to put it. It is life consuming. And I mean, I want you to know, like, it's even hard for people with the less severe, we don't really get out as much as we probably should. In our marriage, it's very similar. It's either, we do have a sitter but we don't really have the money, or we have the money but
Right.
we don't really have a sitter available, and I won't just leave her with just anyone either. Like, I don't like to do that either. So we've had lots of people offer over the years, but you have to look at, do they have any other children? Are they going to be able to give her undivided attention? Because I've had to make plenty of phone calls to poison control over the years, because she gets into things, and what's their house set up, or are they going to come to my
Right.
house? There's all these things that you have to think about, and it does take away like the spontaneousness of things. So we share that struggle together. I'm thankful
Right.
I'm thankful you kept in touch with that nurse. That was smart on your behalf.
I
And
mean, she was super fun, and I understood. I mean, she she has a family, and she was getting ready to have another baby. And with her, she couldn't be lifting Chandrea because it wouldn't be healthy for her baby.
right,
And so she had to take a job in the hospital to where she could be an RN, and other people, the CNAs would do the lifting and the carrying and stuff, so that it was not, strenuous on her.
right,
So that's why, I lost her. So it wasn't anything bad blood with her or anything, but it's, like I said, I do have a part-time job because I work for sporting arenas. So it just depends on if there's an event. And sometimes it's just asking somebody, hey, is it possible? Can you come here at 2 o'clock? And as soon as my husband gets home at 4:30 or 5, you can leave. Can you just come and sit for 3 hours and just make her sit on the couch and take a nap?
right,
And
right.
that's And that's not fair to her either to say, oh, well, because this person isn't trained for you, you have to stay on the couch and sleep.
Right.
That's no quality of life.
Right. But it's like the only thing that you can do, because what else are you going to do? You still have to go to work. And yeah, there's a lot of gaps in the system that obviously they need to work on, so that things like that aren't happening. And or
And my suggestion is this: is if I get she's on a controlled substance regimen, she has to be. However, then maybe make it mandatory that we send off a drug, for a drug test, and we have to send off her list of prescriptions with it, so that way the state gets a copy of it and they know, look, they're not taking anything that she's taking.
right.
So, for instance, like I said something earlier about my diagnosis. One of my things that I have going on, like I have to take Flexerol. So I have to submit that I take Flexerol. Well, Chandra is not on that. Here's Chandra's meds. So when they do my drug test, they know.
Right.
I have what my script is, which that's what they normally would ask you when you go there anyway. But also here's hers, and see that nothing in my drug test matches hers, and allow me to be a stay-at-home mom, and maybe not pay me minimum wage so that I'm not living at poverty. Because
Right.
how can I adequately care for her if I can barely afford or can't afford the basic necessities?
Right. And I mean, not to mention the stress that living in poverty causes. And you have to be able, it goes back to that, if there's a plane crash, secure your oxygen mask first. If you're stressed about those things more so
Right?
than the average person, how are you able to continue to care for her because your cup is empty? I don't think it's too
So
much to ask to get a little bit above minimum wage.
So one of my things that I tell people is these when they're like, well, why don't you go get go back to doing what you used to do before? Or why don't you go get a corporate job? Or why don't you go get a real job? I have a college degree. I have an extensive resume from growing up on a farm, taking care of animals, all the way to HR, personnel, running multiple stores, being a trader, being a manager. I've got all of that under my belt. So as a manager, you have to give somebody your unwilling time
Right.
day in and day out. And I say unwilling because if you're a manager, 9 times out of 10, you're on salary and you're trying to eat dinner with your spouse and family, and you can't because somebody's calling you. But so my thing is I can go and I can interview and I can show you my beautiful resume, and you will be like, oh my gosh, girl, you are hired. And then I'm going to turn around and say, okay, so just so you know, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday mornings, we have therapy. So I have to get my daughter to therapy. So I can't work those 3 days. Um, Monday, and Tuesday night, we have school. So I have to make sure that everything is set up for her for school. Also, every 6 months, we have doctor's appointments. Those doctor's appointments normally require a change of medication, which then require a follow up within a month to 6 weeks. So I'll need off for those days too, because her specialists are over an hour away. So I will need to take those follow up days off. If she has severe seizures that day, I will be taking those off. And oh, yeah, if I don't have a nurse because they've called out sick at 6 o'clock in the morning, then I will also be calling out sick at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
They're going, sorry, you have too much,
Right.
but thanks for stopping by.
Right.
But that's how quick that goes. So if my nurse isn't here, I don't work. If
Right.
she's sick, I don't work. If we're having med issues or whatever, like I can't, I can't say, hey, by the way, she's going into surgery, but I have to go to work, so I'll be back later.
Right.
And there's been times we spent the first 2 years of her life in the hospital. And then
Oh.
after that, we've been in and out of the hospital. Knock on wood, thank you, Jesus. We've only been in the hospital twice this year. But one time we were in an intensive care unit, infectious disease intensive care unit, because she was breaking out petechiae and they couldn't figure out what was going on. And they
Oh.
never figured out what was going on, but we spent 10 days in a suit, masked up. I mean, head to toe in plastic and gloves.
Oh.
And we still do not know to this day why.
That's so
So
sad.
once again, what am I going to do? Call my job and be like, hey, I just wanted to let you know. I don't know when I'm coming back to work, but we're in the hospital. I might be a while.
Right. Yeah, and you're right.
I'm not,
There aren't very many jobs that are going to be super accommodating to that.
you know. And if they do tell me, don't worry, we'll work around it, that means I'm not going to be opening up a store. I'm not going to be responsible. I have to be in a space where I'm flexible to be able to leave. So I won't have that 6-figure salary. I'm going to end up being like the fry cook at McDonald's.
Right.
And after 3 months of the constant call outs, you know what's going to happen? They're going to replace me because they're going to be tired of finding somebody to cover my shift.
Right. For sure. And I mean, and that's all understandable on our part because it's like you know that this is the reality. Like you know that your child is always going to come first, but you know that a job just can't hold your job for all that time and not know when you're going to come back or that you're out all the time. So it's not like, anybody's expecting any special treatment. It's just now that the way that you've accommodated that for your life is to work part time at the job that you're at.
So now you're jobless. How do you pay your bills?
Right.
How do you pay your lights? How do you pay your water? Forget all the other bills that you have to pay, but just the basic housing, water, and lights. Where do you get the money to pay for that if you're not working?
Right.
And if you don't have a nurse so that you can go to work, the agency doesn't reimburse you for your time out. So once again, I don't have any way to support my family.
Right. Yeah.
So, it's like a hamster on a wheel. Like, what do you do?
Yeah. Hopefully
You know,
hopefully they make some solution for that bill because it is really nice. So the bill that you're talking about, just for the listeners that don't know, when a child in Florida is, they have to have very specific complexities to get it, but and there was talks about opening it up to all of the severe disabilities, but for right now they're just doing it for like G-tube fed trachs, anything that would require an RN or a nurse. They would pay the caretaker, the parent, to be the caretaker, to offset the need for a nurse. But now that they're revising it, it sounds like they're going to make it an even smaller group because odds are probably a lot of the people on this program are on narcotics.
yeah,
So they're going to revise it and make it a little bit different. But that would have been, I mean, it would have been better than nothing. It still would have been minimum wage, but it would have been better than nothing for you to be able to
right.
offset some of that income loss that you're taking.
Exactly. And that was my thing. So now these 4 days that I just worked, now the other way that they had that bill was you're only allowed to work or be paid for 8 hours a day, but the RNs or LPNs that come into my house, they get the full 14 hours a day. But you would only be allowed to be paid for 8 hours, and you can work up to 40 hours. So you're not even allowed to get overtime. But you can have another family member come in and work an additional 16 hours, but they also don't get overtime. They only get to 16 hours.
Wow.
So, yeah, that does offset, and that covers for like days that nurses call out. You can maneuver a little bit, but now with them changing that, what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there has to be a better way.
Yeah, I agree. I hope that some point, some way that this episode can get into the right hands, and maybe they'll take your suggestion and not cut. I have a sneaking suspicion that they're cutting it, and they're going to cut it back because they probably weren't prepared for the amount of funds that they were going to have to distribute. I think there's a clear disconnect between our state government, our federal government, and really the epidemic that this is. And so I think sometimes they get eager to, like, hey, look at this great program. And then they're like, oh crap, we have to pay out all this money. And we weren't prepared for the amount of people that were going to need this. Because even when they release, they'll say, oh, we're taking 100 people in the pre-enrollment off of the list and giving them the APD or the med waiver or whatever, and they're like 100 people, and they make it sound so great. But the reality is that there's hundreds of thousands of people on that list. So when they make it sound great, it's actually not
It's
that
not
big of
really
a deal.
great.
Yeah, because there's so many of us that are sitting on
Well, there
those
was a
lists.
young, I don't know if you were there for this or not, but at Family Cafe this year, there was a young man that stood up. And I was so proud of him. Oh, I just wanted to hug him so much. He stood up and he was on the spectrum, but he's a president of a disability chapter, and he was on point. And he got up, he said his name, he said where he was from, and he asked them, what are you doing with the money? What, because you were just released this many millions of dollars. And she said, well, we took the people off of the pre-enrollment list and we got them on to the med waiver. And he said, okay, so what did you do with that money though? Where did it go? Well, we took the people off the list. He said, okay, I heard you, but where's the money? So if they allocated out $15 million, and I don't know what the number was, I don't remember, but if they allocated out $15 million and you took 10,000 people, let's just say, off of the waiver, what did you actually do with that? Where's the money that those 10,000 people were supposed to get?
Right.
Well, we took them off of the pre-enrollment, and I don't have those answers for you. And that's literally all she would say. And he kept hounding her, and he got tired, and he said, you know what, I'm tired of this. And he got up and he walked off. He said, because you're not answering me. You're going around in a merry-go-round, and there are people here that need help, and you're not answering any questions. The only thing you're doing is patting yourself on the back and saying that we took people off of the pre-enrollment. He goes, which is just a fancy word for waiting list. I was like, score.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to take people to really press those agencies for where the money's going, because I'm looking at it in Chandrea's shower. There's funding that's been obviously allocated for that for all these years. And if it's just sitting in a wheel, they get funding every year for these people that are enrolled, if that's what they want to call it. But
Yeah.
where is that money going? Because it's never gotten spent. So,
No.
and he's right. I mean, and it's going to take for people to really press. And I can share, I went to a meeting that APD was at, and it was saddening because these are all people that need the help, and they don't have any answers to the questions. It depends on who you know, and all of these things are things that are being said, and it shouldn't be that way. There should be clean cut answers. There's people that need the help the most. Those are the people that are being turned away. And I think it's time for some of these agencies to be looked at and streamline their process so the people can get the funds. And it's going to
Yeah.
take for the hard questions to be asked. And hopefully, I don't know how much change this can bring, but that's part of my hope, is that.
So one of the other things that my coordinator told me was, he said, there's a lot of churches. Why don't you just go ahead, just start asking the churches for money, and we'll see how much you can come up with. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, how about I ask the agency for the money that was supposed to have been allocated to me or to her? How about I ask the agency to not do 89 days because they have 90, and let's do it as soon as you see that email, go ahead and do it. Maybe work through your lunch break once in a while or something. Stay late at the office. Finish the project. And I was told, well, if we can get your local churches to rally up, maybe they'll come up with the money and they'll just do it for free.
That's crazy, because they're giving the
Yep.
money to do it.
That's
Oh,
and yeah, and they told me to ask the churches for the money.
oh my God. Yeah. That.
So it's funny to me the different ways they have to problem solve, but in reality, all they have to do is go and handle what they were supposed to handle within their agency, and it's all right there.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
but you want me to go problem solve? You want me to go do all the legwork? Well, let me just let me put it like this. So, and anyone who has a special needs child, I'm sure you can relate to this. I like to refer to life as like a plate of spaghetti and meatballs. Okay. So spaghetti is your basic life. It's your getting up, it's your cooking, cleaning, running errands, trying to go to work, whatever. Your meatballs is everything that you got going on. So Chandrea is on 9 prescriptions. I'm supposed to make sure that they are all, you know, they're it's time to refill, make sure that, hey, I call ahead of time 2 or 3 days before. And then if we need a prior authorization, if we got to get extra doctor's notes, then I'm supposed to call all these doctors and make sure we get all this, and then call back the pharmacy and make sure the pharmacy got what they need. Oh, they're still waiting. So call back the doctors, make sure we're faxed. Call back, hey, did you get that fax? Then you got the school. Hey, we need the visions. We need this. We need that. Hey, can you go ahead and make this appointment because we need to have a copy of this in their record? And oh, yeah, by the way, we have an IEP. Oh, make sure we're okay. So now we're handling that. Now, as I told you before, we have 6 specialists. So I'm supposed to, make sure that I'm following all the stuff that all the specialists have told me to do. These are all meatballs on my plate.
Right.
So now, not only am I doing all the authorization work because you don't send the authorization or you don't send back the authorization, now I'm the one who's supposed to be doing all the work. You don't allocate the money the way you're supposed to allocate it, so I'm the one doing all the work. Chandrea's good working wheelchair broke.
Oh
It was
no.
a year ago, October. Oh, this is October. So it was 1 year ago her wheelchair broke. Okay. Hey, I was on a goose chase trying to get her wheelchair fixed. Her wheelchair just got fixed last month. And you know what it needed? It needed its wheel put back on because the wheel broke completely off when she was on it,
Oh my God.
going for a walk down the road. It took a year to fix her wheelchair. So somebody loaned us a wheelchair and the bracket busted off of it. And they told us that they wouldn't pay for that wheelchair to be fixed because that's not the wheelchair that they gave us. And I'm like, okay, but my problem is you haven't even fixed the wheelchair that you gave me, and it's been 9 months. I'm still waiting. I don't have a wheel on that. And now I don't have a bracket on this. So now how do I transport her? You know what their answer was? Maybe you should like try one of the Goodwills or something, or the hospital supply stores, and see if they have a wheelchair you can buy until we get this handled. Why
Wow.
did it take you a year to do her wheel? Why will you not replace a bracket on a perfectly good, amazing wheelchair that somebody let us borrow while you get your life together and fix her real one?
That's so sad.
Yeah. So when you seen me at Family Cafe this year, we actually had about 10 zip ties holding her wheelchair together.
Oh my God.
Yeah. There was like 10 zip ties
Oh my
because
God.
they wouldn't replace the bracket. And I can't order the bracket. I don't know why I can't order the bracket, but I couldn't get the bracket because I guess because I'm not a medical supply company.
And that's
I don't
crazy in
know.
itself. So why couldn't they just order the bracket for you?
Because they didn't buy that wheelchair.
Oh my God. Ugh.
So in the meantime, I call CMS and CMS says, well, you need to follow up with the people. Okay, I follow up, I leave messages, nobody answers me. Then when they finally answer me, they say, oh, well, we have to wait on CMS to send us this. I call back CMS. I have 48 hours for her to return my call. Now I call them back. Hey, guess what? By the time I've played cat and mouse with them, it's already been 2 weeks. 2 weeks turns into, oh, well, I'm not even the one you're supposed to talk to. It's supposed to be somebody else. Oh, now I'm not the one you're supposed to talk to. It's somebody else. Now we're 6 months in. Nobody's returning my calls because nobody wants to talk to me. I'm pissed.
Right. Of course.
And I still don't have a wheelchair.
Oh my goodness.
9 years and I still don't have a bathroom.
Yeah, that I mean, like I said, hopefully this falls on the right ears. Um that's my hope for, this podcast, not only to share your story, but also like someone's got to hear all these stories and want to make a change. And then also for all the people out there that are going through the same thing, and maybe they don't know anybody else that's going through that same thing. um, that's
You're
my
not alone.
yeah, that's my hope for this. And I want to thank you and commend you for all that you've done for Chandrea. It's a real testament to a family's love to go through all these things. And every time I see you with her, you're always so vibrant and bubbly. And I didn't even know, we don't always get to talk. We talk, usually in June when we go to the cafe.
Right.
But I didn't even know that you were facing all of these battles. I only knew about the bathroom, and I knew a little bit about the nurses. I had no idea about the wheelchair and all of that. And, she does require a specific one, a specific kind. And I didn't notice the zip ties. So you hid that well. um, but, I just want to commend you for the parents that you guys are. And I don't think I've ever met your husband, but he must be an amazing man to.
He normally only comes up on Saturday night and then he goes and finds something to eat on Sunday morning.
And hopefully I get to meet him too, and shake his hand. And I just want to commend you for fighting the good fight, and never giving up on her, and the love that you have for her, and just going through this journey. Um, and for coming to the cafe every year and trying to find answers to your problems that you're having. And all of it is a lot, and you're not alone either. I know that, when we go to the cafe, the cool, unique experience. And I'm going to have a whole episode about the Family Cafe, but for the people in Florida that don't know about it. But it's like the one weekend a year that we all come together, and there's families from all over the state, and we all get it. It's really cool. You don't have to apologize for your kid. I know last year a
Yeah.
lady came up to my table and was like, "I'm so sorry," and I was like, "Don't you dare,"
No.
because I get it. I get it. Everybody in here gets it. They're all there together for the
It's the
same
one
reason.
weekend a year that you can be normal,
Yeah,
no matter what the disability, no matter what the child presents, acts like. Nobody says a word. And like, not, I'm sorry not to cut you off, but we've been in classroom breakout sessions, and people have autistic children or Down syndrome or screamers, and they just keep going. They just keep talking, and they just keep giving us knowledge. And not one person says, "Excuse me, could you take that child outside?"
right. Yeah, it's really nice. It's a very good sense of community. And when it gets closer to enrollment time, I'll definitely be doing a podcast on it, and giving the people the information of how to sign up and stuff. But um, also the friendships that are built, because like I said at the beginning, I would have never even known you if it wasn't for the cafe. And we've
Absolutely.
built a cool bond. And even though we only get to see each other that one weekend a year, we're just a phone call or a text away. And from that,
I think of you every time I drink out of my cups and wear my shirt.
yeah. And I've seen your kids kind of grow up over the last couple of years. And um last year I was sad that you only had gotten to get Chandrea to the cafe, and I was like, where's all your other kids? um yeah, yeah. So I'm glad that you are going there and getting, trying to get answers, and keeping yourself in that community. And yeah, I
So
go.
there is one thing, and for anybody who's listening in whatever county you're in, and I know you said you're gonna, you're getting ready for a meeting. I would definitely. We started doing this in Manatee County, and I don't know if they have it in other counties, but I definitely would suggest this. Um, our county has stickers, and you can go down to the sheriff's office and tell them, "Hey, I need a sticker for my door," and it goes on your door and it says, "There is a child in here that has needs." So if something is going on, they know
Right.
that there's a special child in the house. So they give out the free stickers for your windows, for your doors and stuff. And just off of Amazon, I've ordered them for my truck doors or for my windows that say like, "There's a child with needs in here," that when you try to touch them, they may react different. They may not speak.
Right.
And then I also ordered off of Amazon, and I took it down and I had it embroidered, but like that goes over the seatbelt strap.
Mm-hmm.
It's the cushion, and it has her name on it and her information on top of it. And then when you open it up, there's a whole bio in there with a picture and everything.
Oh.
So, God forbid, we're out on the road and we're heading to Orlando and something happens, everything that they need to know is all right there.
Right.
But just for like, if there's new parents that are out there and they're like, okay, I'm lost. That's a place to start.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure. Yeah.
so. But
And
I thank you for having me today, Brenda.
yeah, thanks for joining, Jenny. And I will send you, the link for the video, and you can share it. And I want to get this out to as many people as possible, that might need it. So definitely thanks for being a guest, and I look forward to talking to you and seeing you in June. Hopefully we'll both be able to
Yeah,
make it. And yeah, thank you so much.
thank you.
All right.